Hey, hockey fans. February 24th, there was only one game. That game was Ottawa against Columbus. Again, another Columbus game that went in extra time, but this time they were able to pull out a win and they won 4-3 over Ottawa. So I picked the game right by Columbus winning. And then some side action I took the over and I got that right, but I did take Columbus at -1.5 and I did not get that. So that was still decent. It was a good game, actually. It was fun to watch. Trade deadline, we're done here. So obviously some teams a lot more active than others, and you can kind of tell by the trades what direction these teams are going, whether they think they've got a chance this year still or whether they're planning for down the road. So yeah, that's interesting. Also in the news, we had Shesterkin and Buchnevich in a car accident. So I think that's really going to hurt these Rangers because a lot of their success was riding with this rookie goaltender who was playing incredible. So we'll see. Anyway, there's 13 games on for Tuesday. And it's an interesting time as well because some of these new acquisitions are going to be playing, some aren't because they're, getting to where they need to be and getting settled and stuff. But it actually takes a bit of time to see how some of these guys are going to play together and how kind of synergy they're going to have and how they're going to just fit in overall. So I find if you listen to a lot of interviews and you can kind of read in between the lines and see how guys feel and what's going on in their minds, that'll help with making picks. And I tried to do as much of that as I could. So we'll get right into the picks, and I guess we'll know on Tuesday night how I did. First game, Calgary against Boston. Boston in their last 10 are 8-2-0, current one-game losing streak. First in the Atlantic, and Halak is probable in net for Boston. Their last game was a loss to Vancouver 9-3. Calgary 5-5-0 with a current one-game winning streak. They're in a wild card position. Riddick probable in net, and their last game was a win over Detroit where they won 4-2. The Bruins won the first time these guys met, 4-3, and this will be the last time that they meet for the regular season. Boston has such a crazy home record. They're 21-2-9 at home. And I know some people are thinking, well, how are they going to bounce back from that loss to Vancouver? And it might take them a period, but I can't see Calgary going into Boston and beating Boston. First pick, I'm going to take Boston to win. Second game, Vancouver against Montreal. Montreal in their last 10, they're 5-4-1 with a current two-game winning streak. Price is probable in net for Montreal. And their last game was a win over Ottawa 3-0. Playing Vancouver, that's 4-4-2 in their last 10 with a current one-game winning streak. Third in the Pacific, and Demko has been confirmed in net for Vancouver. Their last game was a win over Boston 9-3. Markstrom obviously out for a while, and I think that's why, according to the odds, Vancouver is the underdog here. And also, historically, Montreal has had Vancouver's number to some point. But it's history because it's in the past. And I know you got to factor it in, but if you look at it today, I think Vancouver's a much better team than Montreal. And Demko's a good goalie. So, yeah, Montreal leads. Yeah, I got to go Vancouver here. Vancouver to beat Montreal, and Montreal, pick two. Third game, we got Toronto against Tampa. Tampa 8-2-0 in their last 10 with a current two-game losing streak. Second in the Atlantic, and Vasilevsky is probable in net for Tampa. Their last game was a loss to Arizona 7-3. Against the Toronto squad, that's 4-5-1, current one-game losing streak. Third in the Atlantic, Frederik Andersen is probable in net for Toronto. Their last game was a loss to Carolina 6-3. The Lightning lead the series. They won 7-3 back in October. I kind of see Toronto here like when they did the back-to-back with Pittsburgh, where Pittsburgh, beat them up, and then Toronto showed up and won 4-0. I think after the way Toronto was beating Carolina, I think they're going to show up and they're going to beat this Tampa team. I'm going to take Toronto to beat Tampa for my third pick. Game 4, New York Rangers against New York Islanders. Islanders 5-5-0 in their last 10, current two-game winning streak. Grease probable in net for the Islanders. They're in a wild card position. Their last game, Islanders won 4-1 over San Jose. The Rangers are 8-2-0, current three-game winning streak. Georgiev is probable in net, or actually he's been confirmed in the net for the Rangers. And their last game was a 3-2 win against San Jose. The Rangers lead the series 2-1. All previous games were played in January. The Rangers won 6-2, Rangers won 3-2, and then the Islanders won 4-2. I think the Islanders were, one of the most active teams in this trade deadline. And I mean, they made Pajot was, I think, a wonderful acquisition for them. And he's not the biggest or the fastest, but he's a gritty player, and I like gritty players when it comes to hockey. And he can slot in anywhere, and he's going to get the job done. So, I mean, I think the Islanders are really thinking that they can go far this year, and I do. I think they're a great team. I've said it many, many times. I got to take the Islanders here to beat the Rangers, and it's tough because I like the Rangers too. So, anyway, 4th pick, Islanders to beat the Rangers. 5th game, San Jose against Philly. Philly 7-3-0 with a current 3-game winning streak. 3rd in the Metropolitan, hardest problem in net for Philly, and their last game was a 4-2 victory over Winnipeg. San Jose 4-6-0, current 4-game losing streak. Jones probable in net in their last game was a loss to the Islanders 4-1. The Sharks won the first time these teams met, 6-1 back in December. Philly, good, strong home team, playing really well, trending up. San Jose definitely trending down. I got to go Philly here. Philly to beat San Jose for my 5th pick. 6th game, we got Winnipeg against Washington. Washington just off of that nice win over Pittsburgh 5-3. They're 3-6-1 in their last 10, current 1-game winning streak. 1st in the Metropolitan, Holtby is probable in net for Washington. Playing Winnipeg is 4-5-1 in their last 10, current 2-game losing streak. Hellebuck is probable in net for Winnipeg, and their last game was a loss to Buffalo 2-1. This will be the first time these teams meet this season. Winnipeg's in that tight race, as so many teams are. I just see them coming out of their 2-game losing streak and winning here. I see them coming into Washington and beating Washington. So I'm going to go Winnipeg to beat Washington in Washington. 7th pick, Dallas against Carolina. Carolina 6-3-1 in their last 10, current 1-game winning streak. Forsberg is probably in net for Carolina, one of the goaltenders that they've called up, 27-year-old Swede. I think the Carolina team was looking at some goaltenders, didn't maybe like some of the numbers that were out there, but anyway, they definitely made some good acquisitions as well, and they were pretty active. Their last game was a 6-3 win over Toronto, with crazy circumstances. Dallas 6-2-2 in their last 10, current 1-game winning streak. 3rd in the Central, Bishop is probable in net. Their last game was a 2-1 win against Chicago. Dallas won 4-1 earlier in February and lead the season series 1-0. I really like the energy of this Carolina team right now. And, I know it's professional sports, but when you do see something like that Carolina-Toronto game and the circumstances and the emergency goaltender and how the team reacts and that the guys are happy, and happiness breeds success in hockey. I believe that. I think if guys are having fun, they're going to win hockey games, and I think that's what Carolina is doing right now. Dallas was the least active, which, obviously says they have a lot of confidence in who they currently have. But I like this situation so much, I'm going to call this my best bet. I'm going to go Carolina to beat Dallas. And all the picks I'm doing right now are just money line picks, just straight up win or lose. I'm not doing... I might do some side action and a parlay. As I'm doing this video, I normally use Bet365 to take a quick look at lines, but it's down to routine maintenance right now. So anyway, we're going to get on to the 8th game where New Jersey is playing Detroit. Detroit 3-7-0, current 2-game losing streak. Bernier probable in net for Detroit, and their last game was a loss to Calgary 4-2. New Jersey 6-3-1 in their last 10, current 2-game winning streak. Blackwood is probable in net, and their last game was a 3-2 victory over Washington. Great win for New Jersey. The Devils lead the season series 2-0, 5-1 victory back in November, and then a 4-1 victory earlier in February. Devils opening up a 5-game road trip here, and I like New Jersey here. I'm going to take New Jersey to beat Detroit in Detroit. Game 9, we got Chicago against St. Louis. St. Louis 5-3-2, current 4-game winning streak. 1st in the Central, Binnington is probable in net, and their last game was when St. Louis beat Minnesota 4-1. Chicago 2-6-2 in their last 10, current 1-game losing streak. Crawford probable in net. Maybe if Subban gets there in time, they'll throw him in net. Who knows? I know everyone's talking about Vegas getting Leonard and how great he is, and man, he is a wonderful goaltender, but parts of me think that Chicago got the better end of that deal with what they got, but it's just my opinion. Their last game was a loss to Dallas 2-1. The Blues have won the first two games these teams played, 4-0 in December and 4-3 in December. And I like the fact that St. Louis is getting goals from multiple players. When teams start scoring goals and it's from multiple guys, that's a situation I really like. You don't have a guy who's hot or a couple guys that are hot. When you've got multiple guys scoring goals, there's good stuff happening. And when you got good goaltending to back that up, it makes it hard to beat. I mean, Binnington has stopped 63 out of 64 shots in his last three starts. And the Blues have outscored opponents 13-2 in their last four games. And on top of that, strong home team. I have to go St. Louis here for my 9th pick. Game 10. Ottawa against Nashville. Nashville 6-3-1, current one-game winning streak. Saros is probably a net for Nashville, and their last game was a 4-3 overtime win over Columbus. Ottawa 3-6-1 in their last 10. Overtime decision. Craig Anderson is probably net for Ottawa, and their last game was a loss to Columbus 4-3 in overtime. Senators won 5-4 in December and lead the series 1-0. Ottawa's got a bad road record, and I think this game means more to Nashville. So I got to go Nashville here. My 10th pick, Nashville to beat Ottawa. On to game 11, Columbus against Minnesota. Minnesota 6-3-1, current one-game losing streak. Dubnyk is probably net for Minnesota, and their last game was a loss to St. Louis 4-1. Columbus 2-3-5 in their last 10, current one-game winning streak. Korpisalo's probably net for Columbus, and their last game was a win over Ottawa 4-3 in overtime. These teams haven't played each other. Columbus has pushed 6 out of the last 8 games in extra time now, which is crazy. Minnesota with an extra day of rest, and yeah, I like Dubnyk in net there. I'm going to go Minnesota. Minnesota to beat Columbus for my 11th pick. 12th game, Florida against Arizona. Arizona 4-5-1, current one-game winning streak. Ranta is probably in net for Arizona, and their last game was a 7-3 win over Tampa. Florida 3-7-0, current two-game losing streak. Bobrovsky's in net, he's confirmed for Florida actually. The last game was a loss to Vegas 5-3. Coyotes lead the season series with a 5-2 victory in January. I like Arizona to beat Florida here. On to the 13th and last game of the night. Edmonton against Anaheim. Anaheim 3-4-3 with an overtime decision. Miller probable in net for Anaheim, and their last loss was to Vegas 6-5 in overtime, where they made a push in that third period. I mean, congrats to tie that game and push it into overtime, but they did lose 6-5. Edmonton 5-4-1 in their last 10, current one-game winning streak. Second in the Pacific. Koskinen probable in net for Edmonton. Their last game was a win against LA 4-2. The Oilers lead the series with a 6-2 victory back in November. Connor McDavid's back. He had a beautiful goal in his first game back, and I mean, it looks like he didn't even miss a step. Plus, with how active they were and the stars that they acquired, I got to go Edmonton here. Edmonton to dominate over Anaheim. So we'll just review those picks quick, and then I'll just tell you what side action I'm going to take. Anyway, I'm going to take Boston to beat Calgary for pick 1. Vancouver to beat Montreal. Toronto to beat Tampa. The Islanders to beat the Rangers. Philly to beat San Jose. Winnipeg to beat Washington. Carolina to beat Dallas. New Jersey to beat Detroit. St. Louis to beat Chicago. Nashville to beat Ottawa. Minnesota to beat Columbus. Arizona to beat Florida. And to end it off, Edmonton to beat Anaheim. My best bet is the Dallas-Carolina game. I'm taking Carolina, and we'll see if we can keep that little streak going. And then for some side action, I'm going to take the Islanders. I didn't get all the lines. I don't think the lines are out for the Carolina game yet. I'll have a look here. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to take the Islanders at -1.5. I'm going to take Minnesota on the money line. I'm going to take the over, which is 5.5 on the Oilers and Ducks game. And I'm going to take Carolina just on the money line. And I'll do individual bets on those, and I'll also parlay them and see what happens. Anyway, lots of hockey. And it'll be interesting. It'll be a lot of fun. I mean, watch your teams and see how their acquisitions do. And yeah, good luck with your picks. Thanks for watching. Hope everyone's having a great week.